All right, everyone. First, let's make sure my mic's there. I am. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have race number 3 of 12. So it says 14. Don't believe it. Of the Area 51 Racing League Superspeedway Cup Series. Tonight we are here at Talladega. Scheduled distance, as always, 75 laps. Always have the potential for up to 3 green white checkered attempts, and then also fuel window roughly around low 20s here, Dale. So gonna most likely be a 3 pit stop race for this evening. I say working on some. Let's say hopefully it'll come out better tonight. I say gonna try to make some little adjustments here for the team side of things, so you can kind of see the windshield banners to see which drivers are part of which teams. So say definitely feel free to comment on YouTube. Let us know if it's working for you guys or not. There's gonna be a few that don't have it quite accurate. Hoping to get the rest of those squared away here this evening or before next week's race for sure. So yeah, welcome everybody to Talladega tonight. So plenty of room for 3-wide racing tonight, Dale. Say setup is definitely looks much more stable than last week. So obviously a little bit of a hiccup there. So I think we're going to see some pretty exciting racing. I'll be curious to see what maybe some of the strategies we see unfold tonight.
Yeah, like you say, wide track, plenty of room for 3 wide. Hopefully we get to see some of that excitement. But what we know about Area 51 is typically they're pretty calm and not overly aggressive. So, it's really hard to tell what we're going to see.
Yeah, exactly right. I say, but the only thing too is you can only be so calm when I'm looking at the entry list right now, and it looks like I believe we have now 34 drivers in the field here, if I'm not mistaken. So qualifying just about completed here, so we'll see what the starting grid's going to be. It looks like it just has finished up, so we'll go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. All right, on pole position, the number 1 of Gabe Butler. Next to him, Mitchell Wilkes in the 71 car. Great qualifying for a lap. Puts it in 2nd position. Kevin Freeze in 3rd. Dude Conrad 4th. Matt Quick in that 5th spot. Kevin Hash, Raymond Rittenauer, and Travis Turnmeyer round up the top 8. 9th through 16th, you got Dean Wilkinson, Randy Miner, Eric Laurie, Charles Johnson, Todd Merkel, Mark Brown, Chad Wilkes, and Trevor White. 17th through 24th here, Nick Monfretti, Bud Steele, Michael Spell, Todd Siebels, Matt Wagner, Alberto Lopez, Craig Forsyth, Roy Grandy. And then 25th through 32nd, you got Brandon Pasalacqua, Quabi Brooks, Robbie Richards, Todd Schneider. And then from 29th on back, looks like these drivers opted not to put down a qualifying lap with Everett Lane, Kyle Hess, Jim Brooks, and Bobby Hash. And then the last 2 in the field here are the 33 of John Brill and the 33rd is John Brill, 34th is Paul Patterson. All right, so as you can kind of see here on the camera, so it's again not super obvious. I got a few that I got to update, but you can see some of these drivers have different color banners. You see the red banner there on the 1 car, the yellow banner on the Folgers car of Kevin Freeze. So say that's kind of what I'm aiming for here to try to help differentiate these guys. So I'll say there's going to be a few drivers that don't have it 100% up to date, but say we're going to try to get those squared away for next week's event as well here. So I'll say up front though, say pretty much the usual suspects in qualifying here up in that top 8 or so. I'll say Mitchell Wilkes, so I'll say that's a big lap for him in that 71 car, really great lap for him. And so I think he's been really getting kind of into his comfort zone in the super speedway racing this so far in this season.
Yeah, you talk about the usual suspects, but let's talk about the end of last week when we saw 2 non-usual suspects come in, 1 and 2, the father-son team of Kawabi and Jim Brooks, 1st and 2nd at the checker flag here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So say they're going to start towards the back here tonight. Say they were able to kind of save their faster pairs and stay out of trouble until it mattered there at the end. So you see the 53, he's going to be rolling off 26, and then Jim Brooks in that 30th position, a little bit further back there in that 76 machine. So, but yeah, you're exactly right, though, Dale. I'd say it's kind of fun to see those opportunities come to play. And again, we have the option or opportunity, I should say, to have that again tonight. Again, I mentioned that 71 of Mitchell Wilkes here, a great qualifying run for him, going to qualify in that 2nd spot up top. His son Chad Wilkes in the 17 car also in this race there. He's on the inside line. So we were talking about that great looking paint scheme a little earlier. So there's a couple father-son duos in this one tonight. All right, so actually it looks like right now 33 cars on track. Looks like Everett Lane did not grid, so I'm not sure if he's maybe starting from the pits or may have had to disconnect, something along those lines. But still, though, say 33 cars, a big group here tonight. And say it's going to be really curious to see what this pit strategy, how this is going to play out. Because do you want to pit in a big group of cars, or do you want to try to have a little bit of breathing room around you? Say definitely some risk versus reward on kind of pitting by yourself or with a small group versus pitting with the pack. So we'll have to see what the winning strategy might wind up being here tonight.
Yeah, and I mention this every week, but I know the last person to pit, if it's coming down to fuel mileage, is going to be that 89 of Matt Quick.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Matt does here. Say we'll see if he sticks with his fuel mileage plans like we've seen him do a lot of times, or say I feel like I've seen a little bit of a different mindset of him, especially last week, where I think he's just kind of going for it right now, just wants to be up front and kind of not do that fuel safe. So I'll have to wait and see, but the pace car is off as they come through the trioval. We're about to get things kicked off here again. 75 laps is the scheduled distance tonight here at Talladega. Green flag is out and drivers are underway as they head into turn number 1.
Notice that Kevin Freeze was tucked right on the bumper of Gabe Butler at that start, and they're going to be able to link back up pretty quick. Gabe got a little bit of better green flag start than Kevin, but they're back bumper to bumper and going to push each other off too.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So saying that's, I think, exactly what we'll see there. So I was saying, well, we'll see though. I see that outside line. It's actually getting a pretty good push as well right now from that number 8 of Dude Conrad. He's pushing that 71 right there, entering turn number 3. And so you can see he's getting about side by side as again they build speed quickly, already up to about 200 miles an hour through 3 and 4 here. I say these cars do not take long to get up to full song.
No, absolutely, and you gotta. The top line here is pretty well formed up. As I say that, the 0-3 jumps to the bottom and breaks it up. But behind about, 15th place, it looks like it's kind of scattered.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at that gap between the 89 and the 25, and I see a very tempting opening for that number 8 of Dude Conrad. And I think if he can get that little bit extra of a push to get in there, I think we'll see him drop on inside if he can. But as I said, that gap's going to slowly close here. But I think the opening's just there. So we'll see if Dude's going to take it, or it looks like he's staying pretty committed to that 71 car, Mitchell Wilkes. But again, one thing that we've mentioned before is they got to really watch those oil water temperatures, make sure they do not get too hot with all this pushing that you can do.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the mindset these guys have to have early on, because it only takes, about a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps to get too hot and blow a motor here.
Yeah, you see that gap wind up closing up, so he's not able to do anything now. He's going to kind of be committed, I think, to that 71. So he'll actually hop on board with that number 8 of Dude Conrad. As you see him going through 1 and 2 on the top side. Again, gets right to the back bumper of Mitchell Wilkes there in the 71 car. So they've talked plenty about his son on the Thursday Cup Series of Chad Wilkes. So saying it might be just a little bit of weight savings that 71 car. So they've got no paint or anything, just full carbon fiber on that 71. So maybe making it a little bit lighter to a little bit quicker.
Tell you what, we talked about it, about them rather, was Kawabe and Jim Brooks, and I'm a little worried early on as they've let a little bit of gap grow between them and the front pack.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see what the intervals between them and the cars in front. Looks like it's about 7/8 of a second. So I think with the 3 of them, you see, like you said, you got Kawabe, you've got Todd Schneider, then Jim Brooks there. But yeah, so as I said, it looks like things checked up a pretty good amount there. Looks like they're all going to fall back in line. You see Matt Wagner, he's kind of rolling out of there too in that 11 car. I think these guys are just trying to figure out where they really want to be at this point in the event. So definitely a little bit of strategy calls. Like we mentioned at the beginning, really do suspect we'll see a lot more potentials for green flag racing, with the setup being kind of what they're used to tonight. A little bit easier to drive, not quite as the trouble we saw some of those previous week. So we'll be curious to see again how these strategies pan out and what the best approach might be here tonight.
No, exactly. You mentioned Matt Wagner in that 11. Great open wheel racer on the surface, as far as in the Indy cars on oval. Matt Wagner is one of the best here at Area 51. So these Cup cars, these full body cars, obviously they're a lot heavier, but he doesn't race them as often. Just kind of started this season, raced them every week. So he's definitely learning a lot every race. And adjusting those fuel strategies, pit strategies, and all that as he goes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I say, but the thing is with these, I mean, I feel like the plate racing with these cars could be fairly comparable, really, to the Indy cars, especially when you think about when you start running like the big tracks, like a California, Michigan, where you almost are pack racing in those cars. So I say I think he is pretty comfortable in that kind of that close quarter racing here. So I think we see right here just kind of strategy for that 11 car. Saying I know, lucky enough to have him as a teammate on one of the IndyCar Series races that we do together, and yeah, I say last week was not a good week for him. So I think he's maybe trying to play it a little bit safe here and see if he can maybe kind of shake that monkey off his back a little bit and make something happen here tonight. And while we were watching that, we had a lead change up front. You can see that number 71, Mitchell Wilkes, able to get the point here. So he's going to take over the lead. Say top line now being led by, I believe that's Randy Minor. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Dean Wilkinson, the 55 on the top side. Randy Minor behind him. And then you've got, actually, I think you've got the whole Mad Dog team there up on that top side right here. Those top 4 cars on the outside line here. So they're starting to make some noise as well.
Yeah, that's a good position to be in. You know, they kind of are able to control their destiny right now. All 4 of them lined up. You know, but the about what? 5 cars on the bottom side have all raced a ton together.
Yeah, say they're not up against easy competition, but yeah, I mean they're definitely getting the job done right now, getting up to the side of that 71 of Mitchell Wilkes. So again, now the question is just going to be what is the best approach going to be for these guys to kind of again, you don't want to get pinned out on the outside line. To say once the pit stop window starts to open, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah, and the pit stops, like you say, green flag pit stops are going to come up real soon. We crossed the line on lap 8, so about, what, 13, 14 more laps?
Yeah, I think that's just about right. Yeah, low 20s, I think, is about the max they can go. But again, see, it just kind of opens up some options. I think no matter what, it's going to be a 3-stopper. The question is, do you kind of split them all evenly? Do you maybe try to run a couple long runs and then make that last pit stop a short one? Or you can even go the opposite route. You make this the short run, and then you make the last ones kind of a longer pit stop. So I think that's where that team stuff's going to come into play as well, with a lot of these guys thinking about maybe trying to go off strategy. But I feel like this is early enough where I don't think we're going to see that at this point. But I think it is definitely a potential we might see down the road here, though.
At bottom line there, led by Mitchell Wilkes and Gabe Butler, just, I mean, getting a huge lead here. They were about 2 cars ahead of the 25 of Kevin Priest as he's reeling them back in now.
Yeah, and say we talk about week in and week out. There's someone you want behind you pushing. It's going to be that one, Gabe Butler. Say he's one of the, just like you talk about having like smooth hands and not a lot of wheel movement, things like that. And that's critical of these races. And I mean, you can take any of them. You can take Gabe. You can take Kevin. It's just these guys are why they're so successful at these plate races is exactly that. So yeah, say Mitchell Wilkes in a very good position. I'd say all he has to do right now, I feel like, is just kind of hold a steady wheel. Say make sure he doesn't touch the apron or anything like that. And I say let Gabe Butler do the rest almost.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's kind of at the mercy of Gabe at this point. You know, everything the 71 does is going to depend on what the 1 does as far as getting the big pushes and the big runs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So say I'm going to jump around a little bit. See, have had some new drivers move a little bit further forward. Say one of those we just mentioned, that 101 of Randy Minor on that top group. Started 10th, now up into that top 5 or so. As you see a little bit of connection, you should see one driver jump to the top in response. That looks like they're going to hang on to it there. That's where you get really nervous, and so you can see that's going to really hurt that top line. But a few other drivers making some pretty good moves at the beginning is that 88 of Michael Spell as well. He is in the 12th position, starting in 19th, and also that 45 Todd Siebels in that number 45, that yellow machine there, say 20th to 15th. So actually Robbie Richards, I think, is one of the bigger movers, started in the 27th position, showing roughly around that 17th spot in that number 12 car.
Yeah, been able to make up some good time here up 10 position, just kind of right around on the top line there, not making any huge moves, but just slowly, you know, clicking them off.
Yeah, and this is again where we've seen the patience of this league really kick off. I say we know Talladega, there's plenty of opportunity to run 3 wide, but I think at this point these guys, again, they they kind of know what is the kind of the race winning moves and decisions at this race, and it's going to be that pit stop strategy. So there isn't that big rush to make that happen yet. I think a lot of these guys, especially on that inside line, are thinking about the fuel mileage, wanting to make sure that they can kind of have the fuel numbers that they're looking for to aim for. I'm sure a lot of these guys have a kind of a rough idea in mind of what they want to make on their fuel numbers. Again, they just got to make sure that they got a couple guys in the same boat as them, because you don't want to be pitting by yourself here, unless maybe you've pit like a lap earlier or later than a group, and then you can kind of lock on with them if you get a good entry exit. You can usually get away with it that way, but if it's more than a lap, you're going to kind of be out to lunch.
Yeah, you just lose so much time out of the draft on these type tracks. Even when we go to like the 2 milers and all that, in other series, when you're out of the draft, I mean, you just lose a ton of time.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's like you get a parachute basically pulled out from under you when you lose the draft. So I'll say right now everybody is still holding on to the draft. I'll say the one thing though about that pit stop cycle though is when you think about the gaps between yourself and the leaders when this pit stop cycles will start kind of kicking off, is when you start falling back to those drivers like we talked about riding in the back, like that 76 of Jim Brooks, the 53, the 11, the 6 of Bud Steele right there as well in there. You look at where they are and say, yeah, okay, they're in the lead draft, but the thing is they're about 2 seconds off the lead. So I mean, you think about it, they're going in with about a 2-second deficit to the guys up front. So that's about 2 seconds that you would need to possibly make up on the 71 of Mitchell Wilkes or Gabe Butler and company. So that's where the strategy really comes in, where when you know people are starting to make that pit stop cycle deal, you really got to start trying to hustle to that top side, build the momentum up to try to again minimize that time lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other concern there is once you get on that top side, you're making that time up is again managing your temps and making sure when the time comes you have an opportunity to get back to the bottom, to make your green flag stop as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And you say we talked about earlier about Mr. Fuel Save. Let's say we'll hop on board with him in the 89 of Matt Quick. And so you can see he's leaving just about a car length between himself and that 25 of Kevin Freeze. I think that's exactly what we were talking about, Dale. I think that's just, he's kind of in that nice little cushion here. Not a lot of pressure in front of him. So he's got the 3 cars in front. So you feel pretty confident there. And then you kind of look behind him and say you got some company or some comfortable teammates there as well from season 6, I should say, of that number 8 of Dude Conrad. So you feel like you're in a pretty happy spot here. And I think that 89 car probably almost making feel, say, knowing how he is with these cars.
It's been a really calm race so far. Everybody's just kind of riding around, and nobody's being like super aggressive. I mean, guys are making moves, but they're very calm. I think they might have learned something from last week. But yeah, just really impressed with how everybody's giving each other room,
Yeah, I almost feel like again, it was a setup issue last week, unfortunately, that kind of caused the troubles that we had last week. So I do think though you're right though, Dale. I think that may have kind of put a little bit of maybe not timidness, but kind of that hesitance, I think that's exactly that, and then also just the way these guys race week in and week out, where I said they kind of wait for the race to kind of come to them on the pit stop side of things, and so I think that's part of what we're seeing here as well. That being said, though, we're about 6, maybe 7 laps away for a good chunk of these guys to hit the pits. So that's going to be the first kind of the real test to see what that magic number is. And actually, I'm going to try to crunch some numbers here to see if you try to split this race up in 3 stops, if you split it evenly, what that would be, so we can get a rough idea of what they should be aiming for. So it looks like around lap 18, lap 19 would be splitting it evenly. As you see, the one of Gabe Butler just gives a big push to that number 71 again. Mitchell Wilkes, like you said, almost again able to separate from Kevin Freeze for that a little bit. So basically, these next couple of laps, next 3 laps, if drivers decide, hey, I want to split this evenly in 3 stops here, this window would be opening in about the next lap or 2 to make that, like I said, make that lap 18, 19 window. I think I said 17.82. I don't know. In that we're in the window though where drivers can make it here on 3 stops.
Yeah, I don't. It changes like week to week. Guys will be in practice or in other races, and they'll figure something out, and it just kind of changes week to week on the strategies you'll see.
Yeah, that's very, very true. The other thing that we'll have to keep an eye on here after this week, I should say, is we've got the new builds coming up. Let's say we're approaching week 13, I believe it is. So that's when patches come. And if I saw correctly, I believe the Superspeedway package is going to be modified. Sounds like it's going to have some side drafting adjustments, and so that could make things very, very interesting going the rest of the remainder of the season. Again, this is only race number 3 of the 12 race season, so we're going to have the remaining 3/4 of the race here, possibly this new build. So I'll say it could be very intriguing to see how it all pans out and if it affects the racing as well, because these guys have been very used to this setup, obviously, with this package that they've been running.
Yeah, they haven't. iRacing hasn't made a big swing for the fence change in a long time. Like we're getting ready to see. And I agree. They're going to have to learn it. They're going to have to make adjustments. Not only the aero package is changing, but they're going to we got a little wreck going on here.
Oh, we got trouble. You're right. I say, yeah, in the 3 and 4. I think somehow everybody's hang on to it, though. I'd say Raymond Rimner looks like, oh, yeah, Raymond got the worst of it there. Say another shot to the outside wall there. So he's going to have to, looks like, take a quick tow possibly in that number 87 car. 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. He's hitting the pits from that. He's also got some left rear damage. But, yeah, we stay green somehow. Let's go back. We'll see what happened there to kick that all off. But unfortunately, I think Raymond got the worst of it. So go back and take a look here. It looks like Raymond's car just checked up abruptly. So I don't know, maybe a hardware issue or something like that. But unfortunately, just nowhere for some of the guys behind to go. You see the 51, the 71 Eric Laurie, Travis Turnmeyer. But then just great heads-up driving by a lot of those other guys. You see Todd Merkel able to hang on to the 27, Craig Forsyth, the 20 there, as well as Alberto Lopez. I do not know how those guys hung on to those cars. You see Raymond, he catches the wall there. I like the heads-up call by the 51 to go ahead and make his pit stop there. I think that was a good call to avoid any extra time loss. We'll jump back up front to our leaders, though, because the leaders are catching him quickly. But you can see this has really spread the field out again.
Yeah, Eric Laurie about had a moment in the middle of all that, too, when he was merging back on the track with the 81 at Todd Merkel. With good hands and good eyes by both them guys to avoid additional contact.
Yeah, they've been doing I'll say they had some pretty quick reactions there. But yeah, I'll say this has really split the field up here. So we've got about, it looks like, the top 18 drivers. I think right now, yeah, Brandon Passalacqua on the 21. He's the last in this lead pack here. I'll say impressively, like you said, though, Todd Merkel, Eric Laurie able to hang on to this lead pack draft. So big break for them to say that, again, though, the issue is going to be the second pack is going to be way behind here, led by the 53 of Quabi Brooks. I say he's got a lot of ground to catch. Say as the field, I say the remainder of that group's catching to them. But you can see he's already, it looks like about, from what I'm looking at, about, well, actually, let me update here. So it's showing 12 seconds on my thing, but I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. Looks like about 6 seconds off the lead, maybe 7 now.
Like Mitchell Wilkes jumping to the bottom to go to pit as we got one sliding through the grass.
Yeah, it's the 101 there. Say, see, I think he's able to keep off of everybody. Oh, he's got some pretty heavy rear damage. That's going to bring the caution out. Big break for some of those.
Roy Grandi made hard contact in the outside wall.
And they're still wrecking behind there. See, Jim Brooks caught up in this as well, the 27, the 81. So a lot of cars getting caught up in this one. So big break for some of those that did not get. Oh, see a couple there trying to avoid the wreck there as well. So to make sure they get that back down just to keep it safe. But yeah, so a lot of cars caught this. It could be actually a pretty good break for those that made it into the pits prior to the incident. But let's go see what happened. So it looked like it started up front with the first set of pit stops. So we'll take a look here. So I think it may have kicked off around the 101. So we'll take a look back here to Randy Minor. And yeah, it looks like just kind of a little bit of, I'm not sure if indecision or what, but look at, oh man, look how close that was to the 71 of Mitchell Wilkes there. Almost contact with him. I think see, yeah, it was Charles Johnson. Yeah, and that's where you said Roy Grandy. He gets caught in the back as well. And then, yeah, Todd Merkel, the 071 Eric Laurie. Oh, wow, big hit for the 18 there. Did not expect to see that. You weren't lying there, Dale.
Yeah, man, he just blasted the wall. That's tough. I'm trying to get a zoom in and see who this is.
Oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to go back because there's actually more afterwards. I don't know if the caution wasn't out at this point or not, but unfortunately, a lot of these guys coming through with just way too much speed here. To say at this point, you need to be really locked him down. You see the 20 looks like he may have had a little bit of help. We'll go back to see. Oh, yeah, you see the 86, I think, gets into the back of him. I'll say, while we're watching this, leaders are all pitting here, so that's kind of a no-brainer there. They're all in that, right, pretty much on the edge of that pit window anyway. But yeah, you see the 20 he kind of gets hooked into the 27 of Craig Forsyth. Nothing Craig can do there, unfortunately. And then comes right across the nose of Kyle Hess as well, it looks like there. And I think we're going to see Jim Brooks, unfortunately, get caught up in this just a little bit later as well. As, yeah, you see Craig takes a couple of big licks as well in that 27.
You know, looking back, and I think like what started the chain reaction, I think it actually kind of started with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. He started, braking to go into pit lane while still on a racetrack, and the 101 really didn't have anywhere. He was trying to avoid him, but just the speed difference, he couldn't do much.
Yeah, there's not much you can do in those situations. That's where these drivers really need to be on top of their radios and everything like that to make sure that they can kind of get through there. And yeah, you see, looks like, yeah, Jim just catches the left rear of Todd Merkel, so that's where he gets his damage from as well. Pretty heavy hit for them. So we're gonna have a lot of fast repairs here, Dale, right off the bat for some of these drivers here. You see the 14 looks like just squeaks by there. That's Trevor White, so good heads up by him to avoid that one. So with all this happening, I think the few that really benefit from this are namely that number 71 of Mitchell Wilkes here. He's able to hang on to lead after making his pit stop. And so I'm trying to see. I see a couple drivers that have yet to pit. I'm a little worried if they may have not pitted when the pit road is open there. So I'll have to keep an eye on that as well here. So it does look like the 18 is back on track. We use that fast pair. You see Matt Wagner, actually, he's just now leaving the pits. He's got heavy damage to that 11 car. I think he's trying to save that fast repair if at all possible. But I'm looking at that right front damage, and if he doesn't have motor damage, it's feasible, but that's a lot of damage still on that 11 car.
Yeah, that's a tough hit, man. I would be shocked if he didn't have motor damage.
And so I kind of got a mixed bag of drivers going ahead and pitting here versus staying out, or topping off, I should say, versus just staying with that pit stop that they did. So right now it's going to now cycle with Mitchell Wilkes, Dean Wilkinson there second, Alberto Lopez is third, and then you've got Kyle Hess, Trevor White round out our top five. So one driver we haven't mentioned so far this evening is that number 25 of Nick Manfredi. Started in 17th, now up into that 6th spot. So I think he was able to get through that, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a big break for him. And then I'm pretty sure I saw Kyle Hess involved in there, but I think he was able to use a fast repair to get back on track himself. So with that though, somehow getting cycled back where he is, he's going to restart 4th. After starting in the 29th position.
Yeah, looking back at that 11 of Matt Wagner, it looks like he did go back into pit and take the fast repair.
Yeah, I think that's the right call for that number 11. So, again, not what you want to do. You never want to have to use that fast repair. About a third of the way through the race here. So we're going to be restarting here with 50 to go. So And it looks like we've got all but Roy Grandy here on the lead lap, so that's good news for Roy at the moment. I see, as you see the 27, I say you see Matt trying to get lined back up here. However, I'm looking at the 101 of Randy Minor. He's still in the pits, so yeah, he's got heavy damage to that car, so I'm not sure. Yes, I don't think he's not going to be able to catch the field here, so he's going to get trapped a lap down as well. I say his pace car is about to duck back off. And here's the big thing, Dale. Look at this line of cars behind our race leader in that 71. Say a lot of guys topped off there, so we have a lot of cars running single file here. They got to be very careful in this restart not to lose this draft.
Yeah, it's super easy to lose a draft, especially. I mean, this is probably the longest single file line we've seen.
Yeah, say it looks like we've only had about 8 to 10 cars pit under that initial caution. So, or I should say on the first lap, I should say. So we're back underway. So it's going to take a few laps, I feel like, to get kind of everybody back sorted here as we get things back underway. Say right now, actually, it looks like Dean Wilkinson able to get back or get out in front in that number 55 car. So kind of a good turn of events here. And I think it's the same thing here, Dale. When these cautions come out kind of in the middle of the pit stop cycle, it really jumbles the running order. And I think we had a little bit of miscues of who needed to be where. Because I say it actually looked like it was showing Randy Minor as being the leader there for a little bit.
Yeah, and like I say, it's middle of the pit cycle. It kind of does get confusing. Looks like a good bit of the cars are going to hang on to the draft, but there's a couple straggling back there I'm getting worried about.
Yeah, I see one jumping off here to hit the pits. That's most likely a pit penalty. Todd Schneider in the 68 car. Not what he was hoping to see there. Looks like the only one, unfortunately, in that John Deere machine. So, yeah, unfortunate for him. I say, yeah, right, though. I think Craig Forsyth's in a pretty tough spot here. He's got Matt Wagner with him, so if they can kind of lock on and maybe try to tandem up to that car in front, which I believe is Paul Patterson, they could stand a chance to catch this group while everybody's still kind of building speed. So it's gonna, again, they're gonna have to hustle here and work hard to do it, but I think it is still doable for that 27 and 11 to find their way back up into this lead pack.
Yeah, when you talk about like an open wheel series, you know, the in my opinion, the two top drivers are Craig Forsyth and Matt Wagner. So not really surprised to see them hooked up and trying to help each other out.
Yeah, say if you wanted two drivers to work together, say those two know each other very well from the Indy Series. So say also going to be two of the championship competitors for sure in Season 7. So yeah, she'll work out pretty well. And I have a feeling here with everybody trying to kind of catch this lead pack here, I'll say we'll keep an eye out. But I have a feeling we're going to see some fastest laps of the race here in the next couple laps here. With these drivers trying to, again, try to grab that draft and pull back up into this lead pack. And I think they're going to do it. Looks like they're already there, and actually they're trying to keep this momentum going. You see they jump to the outside of that 26 of Paul Patterson. So, yeah, I think they're able to get the job done there.
Yeah, really impressed. Everybody seems to have held on. So, like I said, there was only 4 rows side by side, and beyond that, you know, it was single file.
Yeah, so great job by the drivers, all able to kind of get through the gears quickly and cleanly to get back after it. So showing actually now 3 drivers a lap down. We mentioned Roy Grandy in the 18 car. Say he is in this lead pack, so that's going to kind of put him in the catbird seat in that number 18 car. And also, unfortunately, like you mentioned, Todd Schneider with that looks like a pit penalty for him in the 68. Randy Minor came out of the pits as well. They are also both 1 lap down. But as I say, they're kind of running off by themselves right now and not that far away from getting put 2 down here.
Talk about guys that, you know, at the beginning of this race, they were running up front, and we talked about how they have the ability to control the race and whatnot. Kevin Priest, Duke Conrad, Chad Wilkes starting back here at about 19th position.
Yeah, I think when these cautions kind of don't fall the way they want to, I'm wondering on the lap side of things, I don't think it was enough there. Say they restarted with 40, it's like, or I think we said they restarted with about 50 to go there. So even with them topping off, say I don't think they're in the pit window, but what they could be doing here is kind of going full fuel save in the off chance that we do go green. I shouldn't say off chance actually, because I say it's been pretty common. But say maybe trying to stretch that field that way, maybe that last pit stop is only maybe a splash of fuel, like a 1.7 gallons kind of a situation. Take the bare minimum amount of fuel to make it to the end. So yeah, right now I'll say up front, let's say again, switched over to Dean Wilkins. So it's really the only kind of consistent that we've seen right now is that 71 of Mitchell Wilkes. Pretty much led that most of the entire first run here. Now he's in that second position on the inside line, pushing the 55 Dean Wilkinson. So yeah, so right now, say Mitchell definitely having a really solid run here. Say hoping obviously to find a way to continue that all the way through the end here. But yeah, right now in a really good spot here, and saying that's a pretty safe place to be as well in that inside line. I feel like that's, if I'm kind of in the late main pack here when it's not really go time at that point, I really like running that inside line.
Yeah, it really varies on the race for me and how everybody's acting where I want to be, you know, because I don't feel like I can see a whole lot on the inside line. But then again, when these wrecks happen, everybody goes up the track. So there's that risk with being in the middle or on the far outside. It just depends on how the race is running, where I want to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, and that's kind of my mindset is for that inside line is one, you're running the shorter distance, you're saving a little bit more fuel. Seems like the inside line kind of has that little additional ebb and flow where you can save a little bit more fuel than that top side. So say we'll see if that comes into play here. You see, it looks like guys trying to cycle to the inside, and you see there right there, Todd Schneider. He's actually going to go down to the apron here and stay out of the way of the leaders. He could have easily went to the high side. He went ahead and opted to go for the apron. You can see everybody was giving him plenty of room, but he's able to slow it down enough to make sure he does not play a role in there. That's unfortunate. I would have liked to see Todd actually run that top line to keep his speed up there and be able to try to kind of tag back onto the back of the draft.
Yeah, you know, let everybody go around you on the top or on the bottom and just grab one where you can and not lose the pack, because now he's going to end up an additional lap down unless something, you know, prevents that, like a caution.
Yeah, exactly right. So now he's 2 down, but again, off by himself, so he's going to be way off pace still. And he's actually has to rebuild the momentum that he lost by going down to the apron like he did. So yeah, you're exactly right. I say a track like Talladega, I mean, he's trying to be respectful and not hurt everybody else's race, but at the same time, I mean, you can see you've got that whole third lane up at the top. It's not like Daytona where it's a little bit of a squeeze. I'll say here you can feel pretty confident about doing it, but yeah, I'll say it's the decision he made. It's like not a bad decision. It's just it's one that unfortunately is going to cost him a little bit of extra time here tonight. However, we got to talk about Trevor White now in that number 14 machine. So he's got that Wonder Bread car, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say he wants to go fast here tonight, Dale, and he is doing so. Actually, as I said, he takes the lead here going into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's up 15 positions from the start of this race, started in 15. You know, another big mover I want to talk about is Kyle Hess, and currently running third, started in 29th.
Yeah, so now he's actually leading that top line, so he's going to have some help, it looks like, from that 29 of Nick Manfredi. And I feel like Kyle may have had to use a fast repair in that caution. I want to say he was caught up in that kind of that second section of the incident in the trial over there. But again, somehow able to have a really good pit stop and get right back up front in the thick of things, basically, in that 86 car. So kind of took a bad situation and made it work really well in his favor.
We were talking about Todd Schneider going to the bottom and let everybody go. Now we're seeing Randy Minor do the opposite. He's going to stay up high and let everybody go below him. But what this is going to do is when he can get clear, he'll be able to drop in and grab some draft and stay with this lead pack.
Yeah, so right here you can fall in behind the 88 of Michael Spell and say keep the draft up. And I think that's going to be the right move. Is actually see one going to jump to the top. That's that 20 of Alberto Lopez. He's going to try to lead this outside line. So you saw Kyle Hess wasn't getting quite the help that he was maybe hoping for. So say to see if the 20 can make something happen. Say he's been one of those drivers that he's been in contention all three races, all 2 races. This is race number 3, so including this one, all 3 races. Just hasn't had the luck in his favor. Has been getting caught up in incidents not of his own doing. But yeah, you can see he's ready to try to make a move to the front there. But again, just isn't quite getting the help that he'd be looking for. As you can see, Kyle has to go all the way to the top there. So right now they got to find a way to get a little bit better organized if they want to try to make this top side happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's easy to stay organized on the bottom because that's the lane most people want to be in. The top's definitely a lot more difficult. We got about 5-6 cars, it looks like, up there right now, but they're just not pushing the way they need to.
Yeah, so you see a lot of movement right there, just a little bit behind him with that 29. The 21 was in there as well. So yeah, I think right now everybody's just trying to find where they want to be, where they need to be. I say the one driver I see here playing it really smart is that 18 of Roy Grandy. So he's kind of running. not still in the main pack, and say not at the very, very back of the draft, just in case something could happen and lose their pack. So kind of running this mid pack right now, but up top by himself, let's say. But again, not really losing time here, because again, he's the only car one lap down. So should there be an incident, he's in that catbird seat to try to get his lap back here.
Yeah, he's the only car one lap down, and he's got to be cautious as well because he has used his fast repair.
Yes, right now things cycled back through again. Said Trevor White found his way back to the front. Again, the 2020 of Alberto Lopez trying to find his way up there, but again, just you can see just the alignment just isn't quite there. As here comes a set of pit stops. You see a little bit further behind there, Gabe Butler. You got a big group of cars. Eric Laurie trying to get it locked down. I think just hangs on to it there. It was a big moment there for these guys on that pit entry. So yeah, so it's a pretty big group here actually. So yeah, you've got Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, Travis Turnmeyer, Kevin Freeze, Dude Conrad, Chad Wilkes, and also joining this group, Jim Brooks, Bud Steele, Quabi Brooks. So say you got a couple of the, I gotta remember the team names here. I say it looks like a fuel only stops. You see these guys getting out very quickly here, Dale. Looks like about 7 seconds on the stop.
Yeah, they were only 13 or 14 laps in that run. So you talk about making that short pit stop and when to do it earlier in the race, and they've decided that this was the point they were going to make that short pit stop and try to gain it on the back end.
Yeah, so now the goal is going to be to try to be quick out of the pits. So say it looks like right now the 76 Jim Brooks last car out on the pits. So what they got to do here is they got to make sure they get up to speed as fast as possible, and of course stay under that yellow line until right there at that blue line, blue cone. And it looks like they're all going to be able to do so and also hang on to the lead pack. But I'll got to mention, go back here now, Matt Quick, Kevin Hash, they're both in the pits as well, as is that 3 car of Bobby Hash. So I think they're going for the smaller group here. I think they wanted to split them up so it wasn't too big of a pack making this happen here. Let's say, unfortunately, it looks like Bobby Hash didn't have quite the stop he needed, so he's going to have to hope that he can get up to speed and maybe tag onto the back of that group like we saw with Jim Brooks and company. Looks like the rest of the leaders, though, aren't reacting to this. They're going to stay 2 by 2 now. So actually, I should say, there are 2 by 2 now up front. Mark Brown, he's getting a big push to the front here from that number 9, his teammate of Charles Johnson. And so this is where you have to be careful if you're Mark Brown. And so you see you were just about clear there. But then say if you want to try to clear yourself and your teammate, you got to make sure you got both of them cleared, because I've seen a lot of times, I've been a little bit guilty of it as well. When you're behind somebody and saying, actually, we'll hop on board with Charles Johnson to show just what we're talking about. Actually, as I say that, they cleared, so they get to the inside. So what I was going to try to show you was when you're pushing that car in front of you, you see him go down, you're kind of just focused on that rear spoiler of that car in front of you. So, okay, I'm going to follow him all the way through. And so that's where incidents sometimes happen as well. So those two able to get to the front here. But now you got Todd Merkel and saying, I think this is exactly what that 20 car was looking for. He's got something now that he can lock onto, and they say, I think now Todd Merkel, Alberto Lopez, they're going to try to make this second groove get to that front.
Matt Quick come out in about the most perfect spot he could come out of that pit stop as he grabs a hold of the draft pack with Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, and Kevin Freese with no problems at all.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're able to grab right onto the back of that group. So I'll say you'll see a little bit further back there, you've got the 53, the 6, and the 76 there, just a little bit off here. It looks like about a second or so, so wait for the lap times to update here, and you see that 3 of Bobby Hash trying to get back up there as well, but I think unfortunately those 3 just aren't going to have the pace that they need to get there, but we'll definitely keep an eye on the lap times. So that's going to be the critical one here once they get up to speed. And I believe the leader of this group, let me jump over, is it Kevin Freeze leading that group, or is it Eric Laurie? It's Eric Laurie at the moment. So let me see. Eric's lap time was a 48.166. Leader's running a 48.151. So pretty similar. Say they're still on the lead pack here, but let's say you look in that background there and you saw a charging group of cars here coming down the backstretch.
I saw that one of Gabe Butler come out of line. I thought maybe he was going to drop back and hook up with some teammates, but he ended up falling about 4 cars back in that row, it looks like.
And so actually we should watch this, because this is a very smart thing that these guys are going to be doing here. We've seen them do it before. It looks like they're going to be doing the same thing again here. And actually looks like Quabi Brooks and them are going to catch this group, so that's going to increase this pack size. So good drafting by those 3 to catch back up to them. But you're going to see here, though, you'll watch this 25 of Kevin Freese. He's going to lock on as tight as he can to this 071 of Eric Laurie. And then once Kevin Freeze gets hot in that car, he's going to let that 071 know that, all right, my temperatures are high. And there he goes. Eric Laurie jumps to the top, and he's going to kind of cycle back in line here where he can. And then you're going to see the same thing now with the 8 and the 25. The 8's going to lock onto that 25 car, push as far as he can. And then once the 8 gets hot, 25 will jump up, and you're just going to see that cycle continue. So this is the way they can do it with minimizing time loss and still maintaining really good speed here. So I'd say these guys have kind of found what's been working for them, and I'd say they do a really good job at it.
Yeah, and it just, the line doesn't have to check up. The lead card gets out of the way so quick, nobody has to check up, and they're able to maintain their momentum.
All right, so we have a lead change up front here for the lead of the race. So we talked about that 20 and the 81. You see Todd Merkel had that at one point, got to the front. The 20 got around him, but now here comes the 86 of Kyle Hess. Kyle trying to take the lead here. Looks like he's just going to maybe clear that number 20 entering turn number 1. Right now staying pretty committed to that top line for the moment. So these guys are in 2x2 while we see single file in that second group that short pitted there. So right now we got pretty much two differing strategies here to see which is going to be the best way to go for these guys at the moment.
Yeah, but here in the next 2 or 3 laps, this lead pack, everyone is pretty much going to have to pit, and that's 17 cars. So
yeah, this is where if you're some of these guys, you might consider trying to pit maybe a lap earlier, or if you've been able to save, if you're maybe one of those guys on the inside line that's just been cruising, you might be able to go that 1 lap longer possibly. As you see Kyle Hess, Todd Siebels, they're able to clear themselves and get to the front now. But yeah, you're right though, things are really about to start kicking off here.
I would think that we're going to see takers this time by.
Yeah, I feel like this is about the time I'd say. I think that the group we need to watch for is going to be led by that 73 of Mark Brown. So he's got a lot of his teammates around him there, that Mad Dog team, or Team Mad Dog, I should say. You can see the 73 there, the 9 is there, the 55 is right there. So they've got 3 of them right all together here. So, and as I say, they see they're working their way, unfortunately, around that number 3 of Bobby Hash. Bobby just couldn't quite grab onto the back, didn't have the pit stop he needed there. So I said that's definitely cost him a lot of time, and unfortunately it's kind of dropped into the second group here.
Yeah, I'm a little impressed here because you got guys like Dean Wilkinson, Mitchell Wilkes, 24 laps, was the last pit stop. Trevor White, 23 laps. They have to be running low.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I say some of these guys are in the 22 lap window. Yeah, you can see everybody starting to move around. Here comes the second set of pit stops for these guys. So far, it looks a little cleaner. See the 14 have a bit of a moment. Yeah, that's going to hurt the 14 car. Oh, and I think I saw a contact in the back there. Oh, yeah, we got trouble. Robbie Richards gets in the back. I think Charles Johnson got caught up in that as well. I think those are the 2 that got the worst of it. So say they're going to get things back rolling again. So what's going to happen here, Dale? Say so. Here's the first set of group of to pit here. So you still see we've got about, it looks like about 7 cars in this lead pack on the lead lap that are in this draft group. So, but unfortunately, the one that really got the worst of that one is that 14 of Trevor White. Tried to get a woe down. So they made the tough decision though to stay out there to not risk forcing anything and causing an incident here. But you're right though. I think we're going to see a second set of group come in now. And here they come. You see Matt Wagner's getting a nice entry there. Hopefully able to get it down on speed. Oh, contacting the 45 and the 88. I think they're going to hang on to it there. Say definitely a cleaner, but definitely still a bit of a moment there for a few of these guys.
And it's tough, man. This is like the most stressful part of these big races is just getting on and off pit lane. It's definitely tough, if we saw with both groups having issues.
All right, so that leaves Craig Forsyth. He's going to be the last to pit here. So he has gone this time by, this is 24, this will be coming to 25. So I feel like Craig has to pit this time around, as you see. The thing that Craig says going for him is he still does have some draft with him. He's just got to make sure that he doesn't sputter here, because this is a really long fuel run, especially when he and Matt had to work so hard to catch that lead pack. So I think we're going to see Craig duck off here. Here he comes here. He's going to be pitting with 27 to go. So not quite in the window. You see sending it into the pits, locks it down. Hopefully got down to speed on time, because that was an aggressive entry from that 27.
Looking at the chat here on YouTube, it looks like that 20 car of Alberto Lopez has a few fans.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was saying it looks like he's got the 73 there with him. So they're trying to catch the names again and say Mark Brown right there, Todd Merkel. So they got the 3 of them. So I think what they're trying to do, I think these guys are all trying to get locked on together here to try to minimize that time loss. The driver that had the best in and out laps, it looks like, but unfortunately got too good of a in and out lap is that 11 of Matt Wagner. And so it actually looks like Matt may have got a little bit of love on that pit entry, as I see that rear spoiler a little bit crinkled in that 11 car. But you can see, though, he was able to get out quickly, but had no help behind him, so he's kind of just unfortunately running off on his own here right now. So with this all cycled through, say actually he might be able to jump on with Craig Forsyth. We'll see if Craig can get back up to speed in that 27 car. There he goes. So I think we're going to see these IndyCar buddies probably lock on here in just a moment here. But I think, yeah, the speed difference is going to be too big right there. So Craig's going to have to try to tag on to these guys.
Yeah, then that's just the tough position to be stuck in. Everybody's got so much more speed than a single car, even a group of 3 cars like we're seeing.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going to work out. They got the 5 now, and I think I just saw the 71 in the background there of Mitchell Wilkes. He's got the 18 of Roy Grenny behind him. So to say that the group is definitely getting larger here. So, I mean, that's a good break for them. So they're going to definitely have a nicer sized field here. But with everything cycled through, obviously we knew with the shorter pit stop it was bound to happen. This now is going to have Kevin Freese and company. So right now, pretty much up front, we've got an 11-car train here as our race leaders here. And say they can go about 10 more laps here, Dale, before they need to make their final set of pit stops.
Yeah, I was just figuring that out in my head. You know, they're going to pit around lap 60. Going to be able to spend a little less time on pit road. It's still going to put them into, having to grab that second can of fuel, but they're not going to obviously have to take all of it.
I think that might be the math that they were doing there, Dale, is maybe... Sorry about that. What they might be trying to do here, Dale, is get that, maybe pit that number where basically they only needed, each time they had to pit, they only needed 1 can of fuel. And say when you don't have to plug that second can in, that really speeds up the pit stop. So that may have been the strategy call for them, was to kind of split the pit stop there in 2 almost, to basically have both of those pit stops be just be a 1 can stop, and to help that speed overall. Because what's going to happen here is these guys, again, they're going to have probably another sub 10-second pit stop, but the rest of these guys that pitted there just a few laps ago, they're going to probably have maybe about a 5-second pit stop or so. But the problem with that is they're all about 7 seconds off the lead here.
Yeah, everybody in the top 11, they were pretty much everybody was 6 to 7 seconds on their pit stop, where the other group, Matt Wagner and company, 11 and a half, 12-second pit stops.
Yeah, so the 2 outliers, as always, though, I'm going to be watching are going to be that 89 Matt Quick, the 03 Kevin Hash. They pitted 1 lap later than the rest of these guys that they're in this pack with, so they can go... Basically, they have a lap of fuel in the bank on these guys, so they might be able to have a slightly shorter pit stop than the rest of these leaders here, which is say now the question is going to be as well, do these leaders here, do they pit basically once they are in their window, plus maybe a little bit of buffer for that potential of a green, white, checkered finish, or do they maybe just run this thing as far as they can, and then pit basically once their fuel is empty, but still only need to put that little bit of fuel in? So there's a lot of strategy calls that come in. I'm leaning towards they're going to pit probably with just under 20 to go. That way, once they're in the window and have enough for the green, white, checkers, I think that's when we're going to see this lead pack make that final stop here.
Yeah, the other thing too, like on the psychological point is these guys get used to not having green, white checkers, and they're probably having those conversations. Hey, we need to account for this, and you're also going to have guys. I know I've been guilty of this too. We're like, man, we never seen green, white checkers. Let's not worry about it.
Yeah, here comes the first taker. As I say, they're going to pit a little early here, coming at 23 to Quabi Brooks, hot in the pits. Hopefully got it down to speed. Too much rear brake. Keeps it off the inside wall, so we'll see if he got down to speed or not. Might have a stop and hold. Unfortunately, we'll keep an eye on his pit stop. He also brought in Bud Steele, Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks. So that's the 4 teammates there for this team here making their pit stop. Looks like left side tires for that 6 car. The one I want to watch is that 53. As yet, I think he got a stop and hold because you can see all his teammates are gone and he's just hanging out. So a little too aggressive on the entry for the 53, and that's going to really hurt Dale because that's, I think, a 40-second stop and hold.
Yeah, that'll most likely end any chance of Quabi Brooks being able to repeat his performance last week for sure.
Yeah, I was saying in quick response, here comes that second group of cars here. You've got the 1 of Gabe Butler, the 8 of Duke Conrad, 17 Chad Wilkes, 25 of Kevin Freeze's in there, 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. And it looks like they all had very clean entries there. I don't think we're going to see any speeding issues there. What this is going to do, though, so this is where Kevin Hash and Matt Quick, they're going to have to kind of work their magic. I think we're going to see some aggressive tandem drafting between the two of them here to try to make as much speed as possible. Because you just got the two of these cars working together here, and I think we will see them in this time around.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have much of a choice, honestly. I mean, they could go for about 6 more laps, maybe 7. I hate to say that because Matt has surprised me, but he's not able to save any fuel any longer where he's at.
Yeah, and I had a feeling this was going to be the pit stop. I think this is the right call because, again, just the two of them, you're not going to make that much speed on just the two of them. You can see. Again, nice clean entries there, no issues on the speeding side of things. And that's going to cycle now. We talked about, again, some of these guys that were going to be on the kind of off sequence a little bit. That's going to start off with now Matt Wagner. He's going to lead, I believe, possibly his first laps of the race tonight. So I say get that bonus point in the bank for that number 11 car. So now what we got to watch for is those that, I want to check to see where those that made the pit stops, how they cycle through. And it looks like that team that pitted the second time around with Chad Wilkes, Gabe Butler and company, you can see they were able to separate themselves from Jim Brooks and them just a little bit. But again, I think the three of these guys here, Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks, Bud Steele, I think if they can work together here and draft well, I think they can close this gap back up.
Yeah, we see them do it before. They did it earlier this race. But you also have like the best drafting partners in this league right ahead of them.
Yeah, so here comes 71 Mitchell Wilkes with Roy Grandy. They hit the pits together. Again, so this is what I want to see now is where these guys cycle out in relation to some of those that made their pit stops already. Because Mitchell's only going to need to take a very small amount of fuel here, Dale, to get to the end. So it should be a really quick, almost a splash and go, if you will, in that 71 car again for our second place qualifier tonight. Looks like he does hit the pit box. Oh, actually, left side tires. I'm not sure about that call. I feel like you would have been quicker with just fuel only. As you can see, the 18 of Roy Grandy's able to sneak ahead a little bit away. But as I said, yep, there goes the leaders there in front of him. So I think that's exactly what we talked about. But I don't know if you saw that, Dale, but we've got a move here. You see Jim Brooks, he's jumped to the top trying to keep that momentum up with Bud Steele and Eric Laurie here. And you see there right away Gabe Butler. He saw it for me, saw the momentum happening. He's going to jump to the top and try to pick up that draft to see if he can kind of lead this outside group now.
Yeah, not really what we see out of Jim too often, definitely not early in a race, but to see him go to the outside and try to make a move, it's, like I said, not something we see every week.
Yeah, so he probably figures, hey, I pushed my kid to the win last week. It's time for me to get mine. So he's going to be in some tough competition here. You can see all these guys. Right now, this is kind of what we think is going to be the battle for the win should we stay caution-free. But that being said, we got to go back to our lead pack here because, again, Matt Wagner, he's still the leader of that race. Of this race, I should say, with Michael Spelder, Brandon Pasalacqua, Todd Merkel, Alberto Lopez, Mark Brown, and Todd Siebels. This is our lead pack of 7. Again, these guys should all need to make a pit stop before they can make it to the end of this race, as we've got 17 to go there at the line, and all of these guys pitted about 12 laps ago. So it's just too far out the window, unfortunately, for those guys to make that stretch.
Yeah, they're going to put Matt Wagner puts the 68 car another lap down. Todd Schneider, kind of a sketchy situation. They had to split lap cars there.
Yeah, that's kind of your worst fear as a leader to try to get around traffic is when they kind of move around and aren't in the same positions. You really want them to ideally be kind of like, again, that's where the in-race communication comes in. Where it's like, hey, I'm going to do this. Can you all go high? Can you all go low? Whatever it may be, as long as we're not trying to thread the needle like you're talking about. So right now, these guys look pretty content to kind of keep the single file going. Looking at the lap times, Matt running a 48.3. The group again that we'll be watching closely with Chad Wilkes and company in that 17 car leading the second group. They're in the 48 high 2, so they're within tenths, or should say actually hundredths of a second of each other. As you can see now, this group coming around to lap that 53 at Quabbie Brook. So I think that stop and hold was pretty much about a solid lap for him to be held there. However, he can still play spoiler with this by working with his teammates here. See, maybe he can return the favor and push one of them to the win tonight.
Yeah, showing Matt Wagner the lead, but the lead 11 cars, it looks like, still have to make a pit stop.
Yep, you're exactly right. Yeah, from Matt Wagner down to Nick Manfredi in the 29 car, these guys all still make their final stop of the race. Saying, I mean, again, I gotta bring it up today. We got some pretty big supporters of that number 20 of Alberto Lopez. I say he's right now in that, looks like the 6th position. I think he's kind of just cruising here, trying to maybe save a little bit of fuel, maybe see if he can get down to maybe a little bit less fuel to shorten that pit stop for him to see how he can cycle through with our leaders. I think that's going to be our best opportunity. So I say again, really appreciate all of you guys supporting us and supporting your driver as well. I'm sure it means a ton to him, and obviously always great to have you all be a part of this as well here. So right now still holding in that 6th position, but again, still's got to make one more final pit stop as the rest of these guys in this pack do.
We talked about it, the one thing that can shake all this up is a green, white checker finish. I'm not sure that Gabe Butler, they might just have enough fuel for that, but I'm not really sure.
And that's the thing is if they're on the edge, think about Jim Brooks and them, they actually pitted that lap before, so they're going to be even tighter on fuel. And actually, as I mentioned, now you see the one of Gabe Butler, he's able to get to the front of this pack, so that's going to open the door now for Bud Steele with help from Eric Laurie to see if they can make this outside line work. I see Matt Quick and Kevin Hash, they've hopped to that outside line as well here. So, these guys are all, I think, right now kind of trying to jockey for a position to be in the right place at the right time as we're approaching 13 to go here. As the end right now, leader's still staying out. So I think right now the strategy for this lead pack here, I think they're going to wait and pit as late as possible and just to see kind of how the cards play out here on this one. Again, watching the lap times, it looks like about 48.1 for Matt Wagner with Michael Spell behind him. And I look at Gabe Butler, Chad Wilkes, 48.0, 48.1. So again, they're hundreds of seconds apart. So it's not a bad call here. This could wind up actually being a pretty close pit stop cycle. Just depends on their entry and exits.
Yeah, it looks like the interval is about 30 seconds between the two groups, maybe. So it could really work out.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's about 30 seconds right now, roughly, between this lead pack and that second pack. So it's just, yeah, it's going to be all about the pit entry, pit exits. Unfortunately, that would be a great thing to have, actually, Dale, is kind of what the pit delta is just for the in and out of the pit stops to see what you can do. So I say, again, I mean, at this point, you got to take the gamble. The problem with some of these guys, if you're looking at like a Matt Wagner, for instance, you've been leading this pack this whole time. You're going to probably have to take more than a lot of these guys behind you. And that's where I think we could see like a Todd Merkel, a Brandon Pasalacqua, or Alberto Lopez, where they've been able to save a little bit. As I say that, though, I say Alberto's up in the top pushing that 45 with Todd Siebels. If they, like I said, if they're saving here, they might be able to take that little bit less fuel, shorten that pit stop just enough here, maybe try to see if they can kind of tag onto that lead pack possibly.
Yeah, I think if it's me, I'm taking one can just to be safe. I mean, I'm gonna set it, take the full can, and just put that out to everybody. So we all take the same amount of fuel. We all, come off pit at the same time.
And see, I'd be playing the opposite game. I'd be saying, hey, I want the bare minimum. Get me whatever's going to basically sputter as after I cross start finish line. Whatever it is that I want to take the absolute least amount, because I want to be the shortest amount in and out of the pits there. If there's a green light checker, so be it. I'll pit and kind of just deal with it that way. But I say if we get that green flag run here to the checker like we have seen previously, I think that's the approach that I would take. So let's see what these guys do. So we're going to come around 10 to go here. And again, that pit window we talked about, Dale, is going to be opening in probably about, or I should say, the pit window is going to have to be in about, I think I'd say about 3 more laps or so, because they're right now on lap number 19 since their last pit stop.
Yeah, the 20 Alberto Lopez dropped down to the bottom line there. I think he's preparing for those pit stops. See, Brandon Pasalacqua kind of running a little high. I thought he might have been trying to lead that outside line, but he dropped back into the bottom lane, third position there.
I was about to say the same. Oh, actually, I see the 6 of Bud Steele off pace. I think he may have pushed the motor too hard and popped it, possibly. As you can see, he's just coasting on the apron here. This could be something that brings out a yellow. Again, we talk about change everything. So I'm going to jump back and see if I can find what happened to that 6 car. Because I say he's just trying to coast to the finish, or to the pits, I believe. So let's go back. So this is on replay here real quick. You see he's pushing that number 8 of Jude Conrad. So So we'll keep an eye on that as he inserts through. Oh yeah, you see he jumps to top. The motor pops right as he did. You see this 8 car able to jump to the inside. So unfortunately, just a little too hot for that 6 car, and that's what unfortunately did him in there. So we'll jump back to our race leaders after that happened. It looks like 6 has made it to the pit, so we do stay green here. The other thing that I'm looking here, you look at this though, Matt Wagner, he's catching a couple lap cars right now, and this is again right at that pit window. So unless these lap cars get to the top side, which it looks like they are now doing, that was one of my first concerns there. Looks like they're all going to jump to the top, so hats off to all of them. I was going to say that might be a good time to make that pit stop, but it actually looks like, we're going to have a couple cars hitting the pits. Looks like 2 actually hitting the pits there. It looks like one kind of second-guessed himself.
Yeah, Matt, saw them lap cars in front of him. I know Matt well enough. I know he was yelling on the radio for them to go high.
Yeah, say fist out the window, probably from that 11 car. Say, hey, get out of the way. We got a strategy here. We want to try to make this happen. And I say, and actually, looking at the lap times, they've been picking it up. It was a 47.67 for them. Say Gabe Butler, 47.70 or 79 actually. So almost over a tenth of a second quicker for that 11 car. I think picking up the toe of those lap cars. I say that's those little things. I mean, that's enough sometimes to be a difference maker in this race here.
Yeah, now the big challenge is going to be getting on and off pit road, like we talked about, as cleanly as possible, and that's not easy to do here.
Yeah, I'm a little worried, but you see these guys starting to squeeze each other a little bit. You see that 45 trying to find his way down there. As that's Todd Siebels in 45 trying to see if he can get somebody to let him in. But again, I think everybody right now just fighting for all they have. You see the 6 of Bud Steele gets back out on track after that fast repair. Get his engine back in going. So unfortunate for Bud, but so he definitely gave it his all, trying to get himself in a good position, and probably his teammates as well. With that, let's go jump back and take a look at that second group. Because right now, I think it's the 8 of Duke Conrad leading the way. Nope, as I say, this looks like 17 of Chad Wilkes leading the way. But here comes Kevin Hash and Matt Quick. They're on the outside line, and they're starting to bring some friends along. So I think they're starting to think about it being really go time as well. So you see those the 3 leading in the back. Those are 3 teammates there. The 071 Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks, Quabi Brooks. Again, I talked about Quabi. Again, he's not in this lead pack here. He did get a stop and hold penalty, but I mean, again, he can play spoiler on this. And actually, as I said, the leaders are in Matt Quick and company. So this is crunch time for these guys.
Oh, as we got contact between the 20 and the 81 of Todd Murray.
Oh no. Yeah, I see the nose damage to the 20 car. 81 had to kind of go flying off. So looks like Matt and Brandon are going to get together here on the pit exit. So we'll just, I don't know. You see the field's already on their way here. So unfortunately, this isn't quite going to pan out for them. We'll see them as they get up to speed here. But here comes that lead pack. So it was worth the gamble. Did not pan out here as the leaders cross there. 6 to go. It's going to cycle things through now. Right now, Todd Siebels leading the way as he hits the pit road, which I think will now cycle once he makes his pit stop. It's going to cycle that lead over to that 17, I believe, of Chad Wilkes. So I think right now we're going to have about a 10-car battle for the lead here, Dale. I should say for the win, actually, as well. So yeah, unfortunately, Matt Wagner we'll wait and see where he cycles out, but it looks like he's going to fall a fair bit behind this lead pack, probably about 6-7 seconds, somewhere in that range. And so now the question is going to be, I'm looking at Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks, Quabi Brooks. I feel like you're not in the line you want to be here. I think at some point you got to find your way to the outside to be able to, I think this is where you're going to have to make that top line happen.
Yeah, we've talked about the ability to run through wide here. I think if Quabi and Jim Brooks want to go to the front, that's what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, so again, we talked about the teamwork. So I'm watching the 071 of Eric Laurie, but and the other thing too is, I mean, they got to time it right though as well. You can't just start pushing right now because it's just your cars are going to get too hot. You're not going to make it to the end. So you got to try to keep that. You're going to see these guys staggering off each other just a little bit. Try to keep those temperatures down. But at some point, you're going to see them lock on and pretty much just go for all their worth. So right now, we're at 5 to go. Coming around this time around is going to be 4 to go at the line. So right now, side by side for the lead here. And for that win is going to be the 8 of Duke Conrad, 17 of Chad Wilkes. But still 4 more laps to decide this one.
Yeah, you talk about staggered and getting there to the engine. If it hits about 300 and you get it cooled down, that's well and good. But after that, what we found out in iRacing is it's pretty much a ticking time bomb. As soon as it gets to 300 again, it might blow up, it might not. You never really know.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's possibly what happened to that 6 of Bud Steele. Maybe he had gotten up to 300, cooled it off, But then that next time he got just hot enough and said, nope, that's all she had. So right now, though, say still staying 2x2. You see Chad Wilkes still able to hang on to that front in that 17 car. He's got Gabe Butler right behind him. I say I'm trying to look at some of the banners on these cars to say, again, all of them are 100% here. But you do see the 8 and the 1 are teammates in this group here. Again, there is the team battle as well. Let's say overall champion obviously gets a cash prize, but their team championship also that will be split between the drivers. So that's going to come into play here as well.
Yeah, and you got, Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks, and Quavi Brooks lined up there on the bottom, all teammates, and making a great show. And last week and this week, Quavi's not on the lead lap, but he's still in position to help his teammates here.
Yep, and look who they're just coming around right here, the 6 of Bud Steele. If Bud can kind of tack onto the back of these guys, he can also, again, lap down, but he could play a role in this. Maybe try to work with his teammates to get that 071, the 76, maybe find a way to push them to the front. That said, though, we're coming around to 2 to go, and again, right now these guys are just kind of pinned to the bottom. I feel like they need to find their way to either get to that middle or the top side to have a realistic shot at this, because otherwise, right now that 17 car he's just going to control that inside line.
Yeah, coming up on the lap car of Todd Merkel too, so it's going to be even more risky trying to go 3 wide.
Yeah, so at this point you got to wait till you clear the 81 before you make a move here. And that's going to be watching. I'm going to be watching, honestly, I think right now the driver that I think, or the drivers I should say that I think I'm going to be curious to see is going to be that number 51, Travis Turnmeyer, the 25 of Kevin Freeze. I think they have not shown their hand yet. I think they're waiting to make that happen. As I said, you see him poke out 3 wide here, coming to the white. Again, if they can get to the white flag, this race will finish under scheduled distance, and it looks like we will get there. So here comes our final stretch to the line. Say 1 lap to go here at Talladega. You see that the 51 and the 25 up on the top side. You see Jim Brooks. He's trying to find his way up to the top as well. And so we'll see. It's right now 3x3 here coming down the backstretch.
And he talked about it. Now we have all the teammates, everybody from Roswell Racing in this lead pack here. Jim Brooks, Eric Laurie, Quavi Brooks, and who am I missing?
And Bud Steele's the other one there.
Bud Steele, yeah.
Oh, they're starting to squeeze each other a little bit. You can see the 51 had to move a little bit up to get off of Kevin Hash. So say still 3x3, but right now the outside line just doesn't have the form. Oh, you see one pop the motor. Kevin Hash, he blows it up. That's going to hurt the 8 of Dude Conrad. He's going to lose momentum. This could actually go to that outside line. We'll see at the line. 17, Chad Wilkes going to get the win. So we'll wait for everything to update the ticker there. Looks like Gabe Butler going to grab 3rd. Travis Turnmeyer, we talked about that outside line. Almost worked out for him. He's going to grab that 3rd position. So unfortunately, Dude Conrad lost the push at the end with that motor blown for that 03, unfortunately, of Kevin Hash. That's going to drop him to that 4th position. Kevin Free is going to bring home a top 5.
Yeah, amazing finish. And just staying off, losing a motor right there, coming around to the checker, and everybody staying clear of him. Great job for all involved.
Yeah, again, that's just, I'll say they tried timing. You try to make the right move at the right time, get those pushes. Unfortunately, Kevin Hash just pushed a little bit too soon there. And so saying did all he could. I mean, still gets a great result out of that, though. I mean, still gets a top 10 here tonight. I'm sure not what he wanted there, but I'm sure Dude was happy to get all the help he could there. But happiest driver on track. We talked about at the beginning of the show here that good looking paint scheme for that 17 of Chad Wilkes. And he's going to bring it home here to victory lane. That's actually fitting there, Dale. I don't know if you saw that on the side. He's got the Torino Talladega winning here at Talladega. So I think Chad's got something figured out here.
I was just looking at that. That's a David Pearson throwback scheme. Me and you talked about it before the broadcast. It's from 1969. Obviously, David Pearson running a Torino. Not having that today. He's still got the paint scheme on the Ford Mustang. Great looking car.
Yeah, that it is, and great job by Chad there to bring it home. So let's go back, Dale. I want to go look at that final lap there to see kind of how it all kicked off there at the line. So let me go back one more lap here. All right, so obviously focusing on our race winner, the 17, Chad Wilkes. So we talked about the outside line being where you're going to probably want to be. But again, the problem though is that 5125, it was just the two of them. They didn't have that third car. You can see right now, 3x3 in the middle and bottom, the 17, the 1, and then the 071 on the inside line middle had the 8, the 03, and the 89. But yeah, so then you just had the 51 and the 25 on the outside line. But this is where you're going to see that 03 of Kevin Hash. You'll see just that quick little puff of smoke here coming out of turn number 4. But again, hats off to the guys' quick reactions to try to get off. I think you see Kevin Hash already trying to stagger off to the right. I think he knew it was probably not going to make it to the finish line. You see there, right there's the puff. And you see Matt quickly jumps to the inside line there to get around him. And then you see on the inside line, say just how locked on that number 1 of Gabe Butler is. To say, actually jump back here, you can see just right on the gearbox of that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Let's say did all he could obviously to help him. But then you see this is where the 8 of Dude Conrad, he just unfortunately just loses the momentum from that lack of a push from the 03 car. Let's say that's what I think was able to give that inside line just enough of that momentum here to cross. You can see how close it was there between some of these drivers to get those finishes tonight. But again, just, I mean, hats off to everybody. Say just the one caution night and saying just one of those pit stop miscues that we see from time to time. I say nothing for any of these guys to hold their heads on. I say these guys just week in, week out daily just put on such good shows.
No, yeah, absolutely. And it's what we've come to expect. I know you and I talk about it, but I'm just glad everybody, went basically green flag. Wasn't any major incidents to cost guys, fast repairs or anything like that. A couple hiccups, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, exactly right. So we're going to lead things off with our third place finisher. That's going to be that 51 of Travis Turner. So we'll grab Travis and bring him on in here. I as soon as I was about to say it, Travis, the two I'm going to be watching for is going to be that 51 and the 25. You guys are kind of just cruising there in that middle groove, and I was like, at some point, I feel like they're going to be the ones to kind of make it go 3. And then it's like as soon as I said that, pretty much I think it was coming to the white, we saw you guys jump to the top, and it looked obviously like Kevin was pretty much committed to you there all the way to the end, but just didn't quite have I think you just didn't have that third car like the other two lines had. Is that what you feel like was kind of didn't get you that push all the way to the front?
Oh yeah, and we had that's what I was telling Kevin. We kind of had to wait till some lap cars would get out of the way there, and then it worked. That I really did want to go when it was 2 to go. I knew it was going to take us every bit of them 2 laps to get past 2 wide cars. 6 cars in all. But Kevin I think he said he was at like 309 when we crossed the line. We probably wouldn't have got this third place unless Hash blew up. He popped coming to the line, so that gave me a little bit of extra leeway there. It's some good racing though.
Yeah, I'll say it was a really good job by all of you guys. To say we kind of saw, we weren't sure if it was going to be which was going to be the line ideally to be in, if it was going to be that middle, the inside, or the top. All of you guys in that group, it's one of those things where all of you guys. I think it was about 9 cars, I should say, actually battling out. And were you worried at all? I saw a couple of the teammates. Dale had mentioned the Roswell, the Roswell team was kind of all lined up with each other with Jim and with Eric Laurie on the lead lap. Unfortunately, Quabi and then Bud Steele, they had the one had a pit penalty, one had the motor pop, so I say they were laps down. But I say as well as I do to say they can definitely play an outcome in these races here on those just with these drafts.
Oh yeah, I was watching them. They must have had a really good stop because there was a pretty good gap when they went in, and then when they come back out, they got a really good run on us. I think as they come up through there, Gabe jumped up to block that run as they come. Kind of slowed them down there.
Yeah, that's what you got to do to try to win these races. They try to find where the momentum is, put your car where you need it to be, and so you guys are able to do that tonight here. So I say obviously kind of working on something a little bit new. So I was trying to update the banners a little bit, so some of you guys didn't see it. Say you've got the team golf on your car there with on the banner there. So you had unfortunately, so you guys kind of got separated from your teammates a little bit, but so you obviously giving the team a good result here with that third place finish. I'm sure it felt good though tonight to kind of get back to what you guys were used to with cars driving well and you guys able to kind of control your own destiny.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with it. Control my own destiny. I mean, if they get around me, I'll work with them and help them. But if I'm right up there in the top, I got to do what I got to do for myself.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is there's two prizes here for tonight or for this season, obviously with the team prize and of course the individual one as well. So obviously doing the best you can to give yourself a good result here tonight. So and great, yeah, again great run tonight, Travis. Definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that third place tonight?
I appreciate Kevin for pushing me. He stuck with me there. This new format, it's kind of new to everybody, but it is what it is, I guess, and I'm still loyal to my boys over at Bootnocker. Yeah, I always will be. We're like brothers with each other, and it's a hard deal. It's a hard pill to swallow. You kind of get broke up. I mean, I know they're wanting to change the outcomes of this and everything. I appreciate you guys for putting this on. Enjoy going back and watching it. You do an awesome job broadcasting these races.
Nice, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, but that's exactly the thing is, I mean, you still at some point or another, you don't know what's going to be the best way to make things happen. So, like I said, being up front for you is going to be the best approach for you guys, for you at least to kind of help the team side of things. So like I said, getting that third place finish, that's going to obviously go a long way as well. So, yeah, great run again though tonight, Travis. Is like good to be able to chat with you again and look forward to hopefully catching you again next week.
Yeah, hopefully we can get back in this groove of staying up here in this interview box every week.
That's the way to get it done there. Saying also, I think if I'm not mistaken, that's also a few more bucks going your way. Say put it towards some new tracks or cars or things of that nature. So say that always helps a little bit too.
Oh yeah, it's always nice to get a few dollars. I really appreciate them putting that money out there for us. It gives us a little bit to race for.
Great job, Travis. So we'll catch you again here soon.
Yeah, you guys have a good week.
All right, that was our third place finisher, that number 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. So I'm going to grab our second place finisher, he was kind of the pusher of the inside line, that number 1 of Gabe Butler. I'll say Gabe was, pretty much, I think he made the move there, Dale, though, to get from that run that inside line, jump to the top there to kind of not slow the momentum, I shouldn't say, of that group when they started catching up, but just kind of be able to be the one to lead that outside line. And so I feel like, I don't know, Gabe, do you feel like that was the move to kind of put you in a contention spot there?
Yeah, I saw them coming, and the whole idea was just to try and control it as best I could. And then I got a good push. I think it was might have been Bud behind us, but I kind of had to take it. I didn't want him to blow up, and so we just took it from there.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Obviously it looked like a couple guys kind of tried to maybe tag on to the strategy a little bit there. We basically saw two different strategies tonight after that one caution. Where you guys kind of split that pit stop almost in half, where I'm assuming it allowed you guys to do both pit stops with just a can of fuel instead of having to plug in that second can. And then, of course, that final stop once you're in the window, plus maybe just a teeny bit of buffer. Then we saw the second group try to run a little further. Lap times are pretty even between you guys for the longest time, but I think just that in and out laps, like we talk about week in and week out, seems like that may have been the kind of the winning factor on that one.
Yeah, everybody that I pitted with tonight, we had like really, really good pit stops, and that can make the difference most of the time. And yeah, you're right. We did split it just to keep it under a can. I mean, that's key because taking that second can, it adds an extra 3 seconds almost. So definitely got to keep it under a can every time if possible.
Yeah, it definitely worked out for you tonight. So obviously started from the pole, able to it looked like were you pretty much committed to Chad there at the end, or was it just didn't have the opportunity to find your way to the top there at the end?
Uh, I mean, if I had had the chance to go to the top in front of dude, I would have, but it was blocked and I couldn't push Chad out far enough because I would have blown up. I almost blew up anyway, so I kind of ended up not really having a choice and just kind of stuck with him. So good win on his part.
Yeah, you guys worked really well together. And yeah, it sounds like a lot of drivers just kind of try to time it as close as possible. I say, unfortunately, didn't quite pan out for Kevin Hash. He popped his motor, but pretty much right at the entry of the tri-oval there. I say we're talking to Travis there, and it sounds like Kevin Freeze was over 300 there at the line. I say, was that similar for you? Were you already cracked the 300 mark when you got across the start finish line?
When I got across the start finish line, yeah, I heard somebody blowing up. I wasn't sure who it was. I figured it was whoever was pushing dude. I think it might have been Kevin. I think you said Kevin Hatt. But no, I was what was I? I was 289, and I got up to 299, and then I heard somebody else blow up Kevin Hash, obviously, and that's when I backed off. So I didn't want to blow up myself. So. Yeah, 299 was the highest I got it.
Yeah, I say flirting with the 300s there, but yeah, I mean, again, another great run for you tonight, Gabe. I'd say obviously a really good start for you as well here. We're talking about you were pretty much locked on there at the beginning as well with that 71 of Mitchell Wilkes. So I say you kind of had the father and son duo with you tonight.
Yeah, well, they're good drivers. They hold a line, so I mean they're pretty easy to push. So I mean, kind of with the team split up the way it is, I mean we end up finding each other anyway, the whole teammates. But the way the teams are now, you kind of just do what you can and push who's ever in front of you. And if you have an opportunity to go around them near the end, then so be it.
Yeah, so definitely, I say you were able to do that. So obviously, we know week in and week out. So if you've got that one behind you, you've definitely got a shot at it. So you did an awesome job again tonight. I'd say I saw you had an updated paint scheme. I'm working on the banners to try to be able to kind of differentiate the teams a little bit better. So I'll be updating that one for you for next week's for sure. But yeah, I mean, a great job again though, Gabe, and definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks shots you'd like to give for that second place run tonight.
Shout out to all the drivers tonight. I think for the most part it was a really good race. One caution. That's pretty good for a super speedway. And of course Area 51 and yourself for doing the broadcast. Always enjoyable on both accounts. So great stuff.
I'll say enjoy that result though tonight, and I'll say definitely look forward to seeing you again here soon.
All right, Gail. Thanks, man.
All right, that's going to leave us one driver left to interview there, Dale, and that is going to be our race winner, that number 17 of Chad Wilkes. Say Chad qualified in the 15th position. Say Dad got the ground on him on that one, but when it was all said and done, though, say when it came time for the checker flag and get the money and all the fun stuff at the end, say Chad Wilkes put himself in position to grab that win. And I mean, that was a great round. Say Dale and I were talking about how much we love that paint scheme. So say got the Torino Talladega here in Victory Lane at Talladega tonight.
Yeah, it's a great paint scheme. I always try to find old paint schemes to run every year. I love the history of NASCAR and all that stuff. So I generally try to find some old paint schemes. So yeah, it's really cool. I've been wanting to win one of these for a long, long time. I technically won the first ever Superspeedway race I did for Area 51, but it was on they penalized the guy that finished in front of me. So I haven't actually won one of these on track yet. It's pretty much the only league I hadn't won a race in Area 51 yet. So I was really, really wanting to win one of these. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, so you were. I say you did a really good job tonight. So you were obviously up front pretty much all evening long. I'm sure it was pretty cool for you as well to see your dad up there leading a bunch of laps at the beginning. So unfortunately, it looks like kind of the pit stops may have shuffled him out a little bit there. But yeah, was there any thoughts of you guys trying to get locked on together, or was it just kind of see where you guys all kind of wound up tonight?
Yeah, I mean, with the way the teams work now, I kind of took a break from racing these because that group of guys just was so unbeatable that I was really getting frustrated trying to beat them. And now the way they split up the teams and being able to communicate with Kevin Freeze now as a teammate and how good he is at these, honestly, I really just kind of tried to follow him around as much as possible and yeah, just kind of really just latch on to the really good guys and then make a move at the end to see if I could win it. And yeah, it just happened to work out. I mean, yeah, if my dad happens to be in front of me, I'll help him. But I mean, the way they split the teams up, I'm honestly just trying to do the best I can for myself and the team, really.
Yeah, I mean, I say that's what you're able to do tonight, get in the win. I say that's gonna obviously help the team side of things. Obviously, there's like we're mentioning as well with Travis. So you got the kind of there's the two championships going on. Obviously, the drivers and of course then the team one as well. So say if you can find a way to get both of them, that's gonna be some nice change in your pocket for sure.
Yeah, I got off to a bad start. I blew up and got into an incident the first week, and then last week I accidentally used a fast repair, and then I got caught in the big one and didn't have a fast repair to use, so I had to retire. Like my engine just went pop. So yeah, I'm definitely off to a bad start from the driver's side, but yeah, I mean, I just hopefully we can try to do something with the team championship or whatever, and yeah, just try to keep finding a way to be at the front at the end of these. I've always kind of been able to be in the mix, but I've always just kind of gotten railroaded and not made the right moves or whatever. And now I kind of know a couple of these guys now. Like at one point, I saw Kevin jump to the high line, and before I wouldn't have jumped with or in front of him because I didn't know him, and he probably would have just went around me. But now that me and Kevin became buddies, I knew that if I jumped up in front of him, he wouldn't just go by me and railroad me. So just kind of having those relationships with some of these really good guys on super speedways has definitely allowed me to make moves that might give me a chance to start winning some of these.
Yeah, I mean that's really all what it's all about is having the right moves at the right time and of course the right people with you. So I'd say the other thing that's going to really change things, obviously, like you said, didn't have the start of the season you want, but I'd say it looks like you're going to have a big jump in the points, obviously, with that win tonight. And also I'd say this is the first season that they'll be going to the playoff approach here as well. So I'll say after race number 9, I'll say it'll be a 2-race playoff to go from the 8 to the 4, with then the final 4 going for it all there on the driver's side of things. So yeah, say still obviously a lot of race for it, and I think there's also, I believe, a drop week as well, so might be able to knock out one of those bad races, and say could definitely put you right up there in the thick of things if all goes well.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about the playoff system in the Super Speedway series. That's probably going to get pretty intense there at the end. So yeah, I'm just going to try to keep finding myself up front and in the mix, and hopefully make the playoffs, and then just kind of see how the runs happen and everything. A lot of this ends up being luck and not making mistakes and getting on and off pit road quickly, which is the one good thing I can do on a super speedway, because I'm pretty good at breaking in these things. So when it comes to getting on and off pit road, I am pretty good at that. So yeah, just not making any mistakes and hopefully keep myself in the mix.
No, so you definitely did that tonight. So yeah, congrats again on the win here, Chad. But say before I let you go, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for grabbing that win tonight?
Yeah, thanks to the teammates in Team Bravo that were on the channel tonight, Kevin Freeze and Craig Forsyth. And Kevin was really in charge of the strategy for me. I was just listening to him as far as when to pit and all that good stuff. And then thanks to Area 51 and to Green White Checker TV for putting all this stuff on. It's really cool to be able to go back and watch all these. As always, y'all do a great job. The admins do a great job. And then the biggest thanks, of course, goes to Gabe Butler, because obviously I would have had no hope to win. And at the end, once I got in front, at that point, it's just hoping I'm not in control anymore. It's just trying to keep the car straight and hope I can get pushed to the win. So really, me winning was all about Gabe Butler being able to manage his temps, and which is really hard to do on these cars, manage his temps and give me the push I needed. I think Kevin ended up blowing up, and had he not blown up, still probably wouldn't have won. But yeah, so thanks to Gabe for pushing me to the win. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's really cool to win one of these.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoy it. Say they're hard to come by for sure, like you said, with the competition you got over here. So say congrats though, Chad. Say enjoy that one. Look forward to seeing you the rest of the season here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, Dale, that is our race winner. That's 17 of Chad Wilkes. So we'll pull up our final results, though, for the race this evening. As I mentioned, Chad Wilkes getting the win over Gabe Butler by just over 0.5 of a second. And you see right there between Travis Turnmeyer, Dude Conrad, 0.05 of a second from 3rd and 4th. Kevin Freeze brings home a top 5. Eric Laurie brings it home in 6th. Matt Quick 7th. Jim Brooks brings it home in 8th. As of those that were in that lead pack, Kevin Hash unfortunately popped the motor at the very end. He brings it home in the 9th position. Still gets the top 10. And then Matt Wagner went for that long pit strategy. Didn't quite pan out for him. Falls back to about, you can see, almost 11 seconds back, but still grabs the top 10 this evening as well. And 11th through 20th, you've got Brandon Passalacqua, Mark Brown, Todd Siebels. Mitchell Wilkes led a lot this evening, so he had a really solid run. Fortunately, I said the pit stop cycles, I think, just didn't quite pan out in his favor. You got Craig Forsyth, Dean Wilkinson, Charles Johnson, Nick Manfredi, Bobby Hash, and Alberto Lopez round out our top 20. And some of these drivers, unfortunately, didn't have the nights they wanted. We saw a few of those pit penalties, and also unfortunately, some motors expiring. So, say one of those with the pit penalty was that 53 of Quabi Brooks. And you got Todd Merkel there in the 81, Michael Spell, Robbie Richards, Kyle Hess, Paul Patterson, Roy Grandy, John Brill, Randy Miner, and Bud Steele, unfortunately, with that motor blowing towards the end of that final run as well. And these guys, not the nights they were looking for by any means. Todd Schneider, Trevor White, Raymond Whitner got caught up in that early incident there. So not sure what, we'll have to see if we can find out what happened to him maybe for future, but hopefully I'll say you'll get things squared away for next week, because we definitely suspect we'll see Raymond towards the front in most of these races. And then Everett Lane, unfortunately, finishes in the 34th position. So yeah, Dale's kind of that's kind of the super speedway racing we're used to seeing here at Area 51. Say a lot of green flag racing, green flag pit stops, strategy calls, and then usually a pretty impressive dash to the finish there at the end.
Yeah, and again, man, congratulations to Chad. That was huge. Huge for him. Looking at the standings here, I bumped him up 16 spots in the standings and moved Team Bravo up 3 spots. So, I mean, it was huge for Chad, huge for his team, and just congratulations to all involved.
Yeah, it's a really good job by all those guys. Like I said, it kind of shakes things up a little bit. There's obviously some different mindsets of what's going to be the best approach for yourself, for the team. So saying that's what brings the strategy into these ones. So I say obviously it worked out well for Chad there tonight. He's able to get a good result. I want to say again, I think Gabe Butler and Dude Conrad, again, I believe they get 2nd and 4th respectively, which are both on the same team. So that's going to be a great team points night for those two, and for that team as well. So yeah, again, really appreciate everybody joining us tonight for the race here at Talladega. Again, congrats to everybody. A great run for the league. I say it was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of clean racing. You can see again just a lot of patience and just not kind of going for everything right off the bat there, but when it was all said and done, though, Chad Wilkes able to put himself in the right spot at the right time to grab the win this evening. So with that, we'll be back again on Tuesday night for the Indy Series. Say Steve Gottschalk joins me in the booth on that one. But as always, Dale, again, always a pleasure to have you in the booth with me here. Definitely makes it a lot more fun to do these with you. Saying it doesn't hurt when these guys put on such good racing week in and week out as well.
Yeah, glad to do it, man. Thanks for inviting me back. I really love doing these.
Yeah, so we'll be back with you as well on Thursday for the Cup Series. So again, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll be back again on Tuesday night. Got the week coming back again, so back to reality on Monday. But until then, of course, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. Have a good night.